Setting a goal is the first spark, an intention born from desire, purpose, or a vision of who we wish to become. It is the mental blueprint of a future reality. But as clear as our intentions may seem, they remain dormant unless followed by sustained action. This is where commitment enters. It is not enough to dream. To realize those dreams, we must build a bridge. That bridge is commitment, a structure made not of inspiration, but of repetition, of focus, of will. Intention is the mind's declaration. It says, I want. But commitment is the body's response. It says, I will. It is in the space between wanting and doing that many people falter. They imagine the destination, but are not prepared to walk the long path to reach it. Commitment transforms imagination into movement. Without it, even the most noble or ambitious intentions fade like words written on water. There is a difference between having a goal and being devoted to it. Many people confuse excitement with commitment. At the start, when everything is new and full of possibility, motivation surges. But as time passes and the effort becomes mundane, commitment is what must remain. It is not reactive. It is chosen again and again, even when it becomes inconvenient, difficult, or unclear. Commitment requires patience and humility. You do not force outcomes. You align yourself with the process. There are days when no progress is visible, when repetition feels meaningless, and distractions whisper more comfort than discipline. But the one who stays, who repeats the work despite the stillness, is building something far more solid than results. They are building inner strength. They are crossing the bridge, plank by plank, with every consistent step. It is important to understand that the bridge of commitment is not built once. It is built daily. Each decision to stay focused, each refusal to quit, each moment of returning to the task, it all forms part of that structure. Without this steady construction, intention remains abstract, disconnected from life. With it, every action becomes a thread that weaves your vision into reality. Commitment gives weight to your goals. It is what turns ideas into lived experience. Intensity is often mistaken for dedication. Many people begin their pursuit of a goal with great enthusiasm. They push hard, burn bright, and immerse themselves in their effort with full force. But like a fire fed by dry leaves, this kind of energy flares up quickly and dies just as fast. True progress does not come from the force of a single burst. It comes from the gentle, patient heat of daily effort. Consistency is quiet, often unnoticed, but it is what sustains the fire long after intensity fades. Intensity is appealing because it gives the illusion of fast progress. We live in a world that glorifies rapid transformation and dramatic change. But anything that is to last must be built slowly, layer by layer. You do not get strong from lifting heavy weights once. You build strength by lifting moderate weight over and over again with correct form across weeks and months. Likewise, your character, your skills, your goals, they are shaped by the things you return to each day, not by occasional extremes. Consistency is rooted in rhythm. Just as the body benefits from steady breath, the mind and spirit benefit from regular practice. Even small actions, when repeated with awareness and care, create powerful results over time. A drop of water is small, but when it falls in the same place, again and again, it can carve through stone. This is the power of consistency. It is not dramatic, but it is unstoppable. It requires less force and more presence. When we rely only on intensity, we also rely on perfect conditions, the right mood, the right timing, a surge of motivation. But consistency asks for no conditions. It simply asks for you to show up. Whether you feel inspired or tired, whether life is smooth or difficult, consistency teaches you to act anyway. And in this practice, you gain something deeper than just results. You gain trust in yourself. You know that you are capable of continuing even when it is hard. Moreover, consistency trains the mind to find stability. It is a form of self-respect. When you commit to a practice and honor it daily, you send a message to yourself that your goals are important, that your word matters, and that you are willing to grow patiently. This stability becomes a foundation, and from this foundation, confidence grows. Not the loud confidence of ego, but the quiet confidence of knowing you are reliable, disciplined, and moving forward step by step. Motivation is often seen as the fuel for achievement. It is the feeling that sparks action. That is the emotional high that makes the beginning of any goal feel exciting and full of promise. But like the sun that rises and sets, motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. Some days it arrives with strength, pushing us forward. Other days it is nowhere to be found. If we depend on motivation alone, our progress will be inconsistent, strong one moment, stagnant the next. This is where discipline reveals its quiet power. Discipline is not a feeling. It is a decision, a posture of the mind. While motivation asks, do I feel like doing this today? Discipline asks, is this aligned with my purpose? Discipline does not argue with mood or convenience. It simply follows through even when the body is tired, when the mind is distracted, or when the heart feels unmotivated. In this way, discipline frees us from the unpredictability of emotion. It becomes the inner compass that continues to point us toward our goal, regardless of how we feel in the moment. To build discipline is to train the self beyond impulse. It means developing the ability to act not out of temporary desire, but out of deep intention. You may not always feel inspired to study, to train, to build, or to create. But when discipline is present, action does not depend on emotion. It depends on your commitment to the path. Each time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen the mind. And a strong mind will carry you further than a motivated heart alone. Many people wait for motivation to return before they continue. They pause, hoping that the right song, the right quote, or the right environment will reignite their fire. But the one who is disciplined does not wait. They move forward even when the spark is absent. And often it is in the movement itself that motivation is reawakened, not as a cause, but as an effect. Discipline creates motion, and motion generates energy. In this way, discipline becomes the source of renewed momentum. Discipline also cultivates trust within. When you follow through on your actions consistently, especially in moments when it is difficult, you begin to believe in your own reliability. You no longer have to wonder whether you will take action. You already know that you will. This quiet trust in your own effort becomes a great source of strength. It removes hesitation, reduces doubt, and clears the mind to focus on what truly matters. Through discipline, you no longer depend on external inspiration. You become your own source of strength. When the path is smooth, the need for purpose is often unnoticed. Progress feels natural, energy flows easily, and the goal appears close. But life is not always calm. Storms will come, obstacles, delays, inner doubt, outer distractions. In these moments, it becomes clear who is anchored and who is drifting. Purpose is that anchor. It is the deep reason behind your actions. the inner foundation that holds you steady when the surface becomes chaotic. Without purpose, the slightest resistance can knock you off course. With purpose, even heavy winds cannot move you. Purpose is not the same as a goal. A goal is the finish line. Purpose is why you began walking in the first place. It is not just what you want to achieve, but why it matters. The deeper this why, the stronger the foundation. A shallow reason, such as impressing others or chasing fleeting validation, will not hold you in place when struggle arrives, but a deep purpose rooted in your values, your growth, or your vision of service to others gives you strength beyond circumstances. It gives meaning to the effort even when results are not visible. When you are tired, uncertain, or discouraged, purpose speaks. It reminds you of who you are and who you are becoming. It says, "This is bigger than how you feel today." Purpose quiets the noise of the moment and reconnects you with the larger view. You may not always feel strong or clear, but if you are connected to your purpose, you do not need to feel certain. You simply need to remember. Remember why you started. Remember why it matters. That remembrance becomes your energy. Many give up not because they lack talent or discipline, but because they lose sight of purpose. They forget why they started. Their attention becomes consumed by surface level setbacks, slow progress, temporary discomfort, comparison with others. But when your purpose is alive within you, those setbacks become lighter. They may still be present, but they do not break you. You see them not as threats, but as part of the journey. Your purpose gives you patience. It gives you courage. It gives you a reason to stay. Purpose must be visited often. It is not enough to define it once and forget it. Just like a fire, it must be tended. Sit with it. Reflect on it. Refine it as you grow. Let it evolve, but never let it fade. In times of peace, let it guide your planning. In times of difficulty, let it ground your steps. And when you cannot see far ahead, let it be the quiet force that tells you to take one more step and then another. That is the number R, is the power of deep purpose. It does not remove the challenge, but it gives the challenge meaning. When we begin a journey toward a goal, it is easy to imagine the path as smooth, maybe even linear, step by step, always forward, always upward. But real growth is rarely so predictable. Challenges will arise not as punishment, but as part of the process. They are not obstacles placed in your way to turn you back, but necessary elements of transformation. When you encounter difficulty, it is not a sign to quit. It is a sign that you are moving beyond your comfort, and growth lies just beyond that line. The mind, however, often misinterprets difficulty. It whispers, maybe this isn't right. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe it's time to stop. This inner resistance is natural, but it is not truth. Challenges test not only your skills, but your commitment, your patience, and your ability to remain steady. They are invitations to deepen your practice. Just as muscles grow through resistance, the inner self is refined through hardship. Without challenge, your potential remains untouched, unwoken, unseen, unrealized. There is wisdom in learning to face challenges without panic. When you expect them as part of the path, you meet them with a calmer spirit. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin to ask, what is this teaching me? This shift in perspective is powerful. It changes struggle into training and pain into preparation. Every challenge becomes a mirror showing you where you are strong and where you need to strengthen. If you walk away Each time something becomes hard, you will walk in circles your whole life. Some challenges are external, delays, criticism, unforeseen obstacles. Others are internal, fear, laziness, doubt. But both must be faced with presence and patience. The path to any meaningful goal will include frustration and failure. These are not indicators of weakness, but markers of progress. They mean you are engaging with something real. A life without struggle is not proof of success. It is often a sign that no risk has been taken, no growth attempted, no new ground explored. So when you find yourself tested, pause, breathe, look closely. This is the work. This is what you came for, not just the reward, but the reshaping. Do not turn back when it becomes uncomfortable. That discomfort is where change begins. And once you have passed through the storm, you will not only be closer to your goal, you will be stronger, wiser, and more capable of guiding others through theirs. The challenge does not block the path. The challenge is the path. In any long journey, rhythm is essential. Just as the heart beats in a steady pattern to sustain life, your actions must develop a steady rhythm to sustain commitment. Progress is not made in chaotic bursts, but in the quiet harmony of repeated effort. When you move through your days with mindful, intentional rhythm, your actions begin to support one another. They connect, they build, they gain momentum. This rhythm does not have to be fast. It only needs to be consistent and deliberate. Mindful action means being fully present in the task at hand without rushing toward the result or drifting into distraction. It is the opposite of mechanical repetition. It is purposeful repetition. Whether you are training your body, learning a skill, or working toward a long-term vision, the way you show up each day shapes the energy behind the outcome. By creating rhythm, you bring structure to your time and clarity to your effort. You remove the need to decide again and again whether to act. You simply act because it is part of your rhythm. This rhythm becomes a kind of discipline without force. It is not something imposed from the outside, but something cultivated from within. You begin to notice that your day flows better when you move in alignment with your inner cycle, when you rise at the same time. Begin your practice at the same hour. Return to your work without resistance. The repetition becomes less of a demand and more of a sanctuary, a place where the mind finds quiet and the body knows what to do. Through rhythm, you create peace within effort. When action becomes rhythmic, your energy becomes more focused. You waste less time in decision and more time in motion. The mind, too, begins to settle. Instead of questioning your direction at every step, you follow a pattern you've built with care. This is especially important in difficult times when emotion and distraction can pull you in many directions. Rhythm becomes your anchor, a way to keep moving forward without needing to constantly negotiate with your feelings. It's not about being robotic, it's about being steady. In nature, everything meaningful happens in rhythm: the breath, the seasons, the tide. Growth happens not through constant intensity, but through cycles, action followed by rest, effort followed by reflection. Your goals too will unfold in rhythm. By honoring that pattern and moving within it mindfully, you avoid burnout and find balance. Each day becomes less about forcing progress and more about stepping into alignment. This quiet discipline, built through rhythm, becomes one of your greatest strengths on the path. That is the number R. The greatest challenges on any meaningful path is learning to continue even when there is no visible result We live in a world that rewards fast outcomes and instant feedback. But deep, lasting progress often begins in silence, beneath the surface, far from the eye. You may be doing the right things, showing up each day, maintaining your rhythm and discipline, and yet it seems like nothing is changing. In such moments, doubt begins to whisper, but real growth is not always immediately visible. Like a seed buried in the soil, your effort takes time to rise. In the early stages, most of your progress is internal. You are building habits, mental strength, emotional resilience, qualities that are not measured by immediate results. From the outside, it may look like nothing is happening, but inside something is shifting. Your mind is becoming sharper. Your body is learning endurance. Your will is being trained. These subtle changes are the foundation upon which all future results will rest. If you quit too early, you interrupt a process that was already underway. To trust in unseen progress requires humility. It means accepting that you are not in full control of the timing, only the effort. It is an invitation to let go of your attachment to outcomes and return your focus to the practice itself. You learn to value the process not because it gives you immediate satisfaction, but because it is shaping you in ways you cannot yet fully understand. Some of the most important steps in your journey will happen in quiet, without applause, without validation, without certainty. This trust must be cultivated deliberately. You may need to remind yourself again and again, even though I cannot see it, I know something is growing. This is not blind faith. It is a disciplined trust grounded in consistency and integrity. You know you are doing the work. You know you are aligning your actions with your purpose. That alone is reason enough to keep going. Over time, this trust becomes confidence, not loud, not boastful, but steady. A quiet knowing that your effort is never wasted. There is a certain peace that comes with this mindset. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You begin to honor your unique path, knowing that your timing is not wrong simply because it is slower. Progress, like nature, has its seasons. Some days bring harvest, others bring stillness, but all are necessary. If you can walk forward with patience, trusting that your path is unfolding even when unseen, you will move with a calm strength, and in time, what was once invisible will begin to reveal itself, not all at once, but steadily, because you did not stop when it was silent. At the beginning of any journey, we are often focused on the outcome, a goal to reach, a milestone to hit, a vision to fulfill. This desire gives direction, but it is only a small part of what lies ahead. What we rarely see at first is how the path itself will change us. True commitment, when sustained over time, does more than bring external results. It reshapes the person walking the path. The longer you stay committed, the more you are transformed, not just in what you do, but in who you become. The process of commitment reveals both your strengths and your limitations. It tests your discipline, exposes your excuses, and confronts your inner resistance. You begin the journey with one identity, but the consistent effort demands growth. You develop patience where there was restlessness, perseverance where there was self-doubt, humility where there was ego. This slow transformation cannot be rushed and it cannot be faked. It is earned. One action, one decision, one step at a time. Achievement is visible, a certificate, a result, a goal completed. But transformation is subtle. It may not always be recognized by others, but you feel it within. You carry yourself differently. You respond to challenge with more calm. You make decisions from clarity rather than impulse. These shifts do not happen suddenly. They emerge as a quiet strength, forged by showing up even when it's hard, by doing the work without needing reward, by choosing your path again and again. This transformation is the deeper gift of commitment. Even if the original goal changes or is never reached in the way you imagined, you have still gained something far more lasting. You have proven to yourself that you can stay the course, that you can endure uncertainty, discomfort, and doubt, and still move forward. This self-knowledge is powerful. It cannot be given. It must be lived through effort and consistency over time. In the end, you do not just accomplish something, you evolve. When people speak of mastery or wisdom, they often speak of results. But behind every visible result is an invisible transformation, a shift in mindset, a strengthening of will, a deepening of awareness. This is what commitment builds. It is not just a tool for reaching goals. It is the force that matures the spirit. Every day you stay true to your path. You are not only creating progress, you are creating yourself.